Well, let's jump right into talking about these 18 wounds. As I go through this, I'm going to be reading from a document that's available in this section that you can download or print out, just because it'd be maybe easier for you to refer back to it later if I just pull directly from it, and then I'll depart from it a little bit. The first two wounds kind of just talk about the person with disability in terms of what their disability is and what their life experience is generally. The first one says, wound 1 says bodily impairment, or it speaks of bodily impairment. A person is born with or develops some sort of impairment. It could, for example, be a physical impairment such as cerebral palsy or an intellectual disability. The fact about this is that I really do have an impairment. It's not something that society has projected on me. For myself, I wear glasses. I really do have a visual impairment. And without my glasses, I can't see very well. This is not society projecting discrimination on me. This is really true. I have a visual impairment. So that's an important starting point, is that this is something that is actually a characteristic of people. The second thing is, or the second wound is called the functional impairment. And that says, as a result of the bodily impairment, there are functional impairments. So, due to cerebral palsy, I may not be able to walk. Due to intellectual disability, I may not be able to balance a checkbook. Back to me with my vision, without my glasses, I probably shouldn't drive a car. I probably would struggle with reading and those kinds of things. But there are things that society can do that can make a bodily impairment not a functional impairment. So back to myself. In the morning, I wake up, I put on my glasses, and I forget about the fact that I have a bodily impairment, a visual impairment, because society has developed this thing called glasses, which no longer makes a bodily impairment a functional impairment. And that's something that happens also all around the world relative to buildings, where in the past there'd be steps that would go up into a building and a person who uses a wheelchair would not have access. So the thing that we do is we build ramps, and so now a person who uses a wheelchair, their bodily impairment is no longer a functional impairment because they're able to access buildings. And you can think of lots of other ways in which bodily impairments are kind of changed so that they're no longer functional impairments for those individuals who have those variety of different impairments. And that's one thing that we want to do from the start. In America, there's the Americans with Disabilities Act, which caused a lot of settings to be accessible. And that's one thing that we want to do from a ministry perspective, right? I remember years ago in America, restrooms were not accessible. And so why would someone come to church if they're not able to use the restroom? Why? You would be put in a situation that could be very, very uncomfortable. And it was sad because it took the federal government on some level in America to get churches to make restrooms accessible. But so for you, in thinking about the development of ministry wherever you might be, a simple thing to think about is, how can I reduce bodily impairments so that they're no longer functional impairments? By allowing access to physical settings and potentially thinking ahead about things like restroom use so that we can help people who use wheelchairs, for example, to have accessible restrooms.